I am making an updated Blackwing deck profile since I was able to get my hands on the new 5Ds decks. And I realized from my last video with Blackwings, the deck hasn't changed that much outside of what hand traps are being played. But I still figure it's been a while, so I might as well do a little update thing. Starting with the monsters, play one copy of Roshi the Squall. It's just a free body while you control Blackwings, and it's a level 1 tuner. And I play one copy of Blackwing Chinook the Snow Blast. This card has the effect that you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, target face up monster your opponent controls. Send a Blackwing Synchro monster or a Blackwing Dragon from your extra deck to the graveyard, and if you do, until the end of the next turn, that target monster's effects are negated. Or as well as it loses 700 attack. And then this is a quick effect while you control a Dark Synchro monster. Next, I play one copy of Shunga the Waning Moon. Shunga has the effect that if a monster with 2,000 more attack is on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon this card once per turn this way. If you control a Blackwing Synchro monster as a quick effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard. Then target a face-up card your opponent controls and destroy it. You can use that effect once per duel. Next, I play 3 copies of Blackwing Vada, the Emblem of Wandering. I always want to say Emblem of Wonder instead of Wandering. Vada has the effect that it's a free body while you control a Blackwing monster once per turn. And then you can activate its effect, sending itself and then one or more Blackwing monsters from your deck to the graveyard that aren't tuners, so specifically non-tuners, as levels equal 8, and then special summon a Blackwinged Dragon from your extra deck, treating it as a synchro summon. I believe that's all Vada does. It's been a while since I last. And then afterwards, it locks you into Dark Monsters from the extra deck. Next, I play one copy of Harmattan the Dust. This is just a free body when it's special summoned, but it can also target one other Blackwing monster you control and increase its level by that targeted monster's level. So that's a little bit of level modulation to be able to summon some of the bigger Blackwing synchros. Next, I play 3 copies of Blackwing Gale of the Whirlwind. I'm only playing Gale of the Whirlwind because there's 4 specific Blackwings that I put in the deck every time I build Blackwings. So if you don't want to play those 4, then you can easily just replace Gale of the Whirlwind with something like Droll and Lockbird. Or Effect Failure if you want to go that route. But Gale of the Whirlwind is a free body while you control a Blackwing monster other than another copy of itself. And then it's just once per turn, unless you target a monster your opponent controls, its attack and defense become half till the end of the turn. Next, I play 3 copies of Sudri. Sudri, the Phantom Glimmer, has the effect of this card's normal summoned. You can add a card that mentions Black Whirlwind from your, or that mentions Blackwinged Dragon. I don't know why it's saying Black Whirlwind. When you deck to your hand. And then you contribute, and its other effect is you contribute a monster to then be able to special summon a Phantom Glimmer token that is a Dark Winged Beast tuner that is level 2 with 700 attack and defense. And then you take 700 points of damage, but doing so will lock you out of the extra deck, except for synchro monsters. Next, I play 2 copies of Shamal, the Sandstorm. Shamal has the effect that you can discard to take a Black Feather Whirlwind from your deck and place it face up in your spell and trap zone. If a Blackwing Synchro monster is on the field, or Blackwing Dragon is special summoned, while this card is in your graveyard, then you can banish this card from your graveyard to target a Blackwing monster in your graveyard and add it back to your hand, then take 700 points of damage. Next, I play 1 copy of Blackwing Zephyros the Elite. Zephyros will let you target a card on your field, return to the hand, special summon Zephyros once per duel. I think that's once per duel. Yeah, once per duel, and then you take 700 points of damage. So an example of this is you target your Black Feather Whirlwind, return the Whirlwind to your hand. You'll summon Zephyros from your graveyard, and then you'll take 700 damage. Next, I play 2 copies of Blackwing Boar the Spear. Boar the Spear is just a free body that inflicts piercing. That's about it. I'm just using it because it's a free level 4 body. And then for the last of the Blackwings in the deck, I play 3 copies of Blackwing Simoon the Poison Wind. Simoon has the effect that if you control no monsters and have this card in your hand, you can banish one other Blackwing monster from your hand to then be able to special summon you banish a Blackwing, place a Black Whirlwind from your deck face up in your spell and trap zone, then normal summon this card without tribute. However, the Black Whirlwind will be destroyed during the end phase and you'll take 1,000 points of damage. But I just like that because there's a 1.5 card combo with Simoon, where it's Simoon and any other Blackwing, so it can be 2 Simoon. That gives you an end board of 3 Black-Winged Assault Dragons, a Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, and then the trap card that lets you summon a Synchro monster by recycling materials to make it from your banished or graveyard. Which the main thing I like about that trap card is that because of that trap card, you do not actually lose to cards like you do not lose a Dark Ruler no more with that, because you activate Dark Ruler, you go chain that, you now activate Abyss, and it's just kind of funny. For the hand traps, I play 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Ash Blossom just lets you negate any card that's activated. That lets you add a card from deck to hand, special summons a card from deck, or sends a card from deck to graveyard. Next, I play 3 copies of Molcharmi Fualos, as well as 3 copies of Molcharmi Purulia. Fualos and Purulia do basically the same thing, where you use it, every time your opponent summons from a specific location, you get to draw a card. Purulia lets you draw whenever your opponent summons from hand. Fualos will let you draw whenever your opponent summons from deck or extra deck. And then you can only use 2 Molcharmi effects per turn. And then they both also have the end phase effect of if you have more cards in your hand than your opponent has on field, +6. Or was it +6? I don't remember. Yeah. Then you randomly shuffle the surplus back into the deck. So your opponent ends their turn with 3 cards, but you have 12 in your hand. Then you have to randomly shuffle back 3 cards to the deck. Moving on to the spells, I play 1 copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave lets you target a monster in your opponent's graveyard, banish it, and if you do, until the end of the next turn, its effects are negated, as well as the activated effects and effects on the field of monsters with the same original name. So you can use this, hit Ash Blossom, and until the end of the next turn, Ash Blossom has its effects negated. Or you can use it on something like Purulia. Next, I play 2 copies of Black Feather Whirlwind. This card has the effect that once per turn, if you special summon a Dark Synchro monster from your extra deck, except during the damage step, then you target one of your Blackwing monsters or Blackwing Dragon that is banished or in your graveyard with attack less than the special summon monster, special summon it. Then once per turn, if a dark monster you control will be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can remove a Black Feather counter from your field instead. Most people only play 1 of this card. I kind of prefer it at 2, just because if it gets cycloned, then it's kind of bad. But really, I just like 2. Worst case scenario is I'll replace the second one with a copy of Foolish Burial. Just being able to send the Zephyros to the grave. And then next, lastly for the spells, I play 3 copies of Black Whirlwind. Black Whirlwind, I love this card just because it's not once per turn, nor is it once per copy. Where if you normal summon a Blackwing monster, then you can add a Blackwing monster from your deck to your hand with attack less than the summoned monster. So if you normal summon Simoon the Poison Wind, you preferably by using its own effect, but you open 2 Black Whirlwinds. If you activate those 2 first, then use Simoon. Then when you summon Simoon, you'll get 3 searches, which I absolutely love. The only downside of this card is that it does actually lose to cards like Draw and Lockbird. And then for the traps, I play 1 copy of Blackwing Twin Shadow. This card lets you shuffle 2 of your Blackwing monsters, a tuner and non-tuner, that are banished and or in your graveyard into the deck or extra deck. Especially on a Blackwing Synchro monster or a Blackwing Dragon monster from your extra deck. Or from your extra deck whose total levels equal the levels of those 2 monsters. This tree has a Synchro Summon. If you control 2 or more Blackwing monsters, you can activate this card from your hand. You can only activate 1 Blackwing Twin Shadow per turn. Like I said, this is usually just searched off of Sudri. But I do like this card because there have been times where I played Blackwing and would have just lost to Dark Ruler No More. But because I had Abyss and this card, I was able to not lose to Dark Ruler No More. Instead, I just lost because my board got broken easily. Lastly, I play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence can be activated from your hand while you control no cards. It lets you target 1 effect monster your opponent controls, negates effects till the end of the turn. Then, if this card was set when it was activated, it also negates all spells and traps in the same column as it for the turn. Which I found out if you use this on your opponent's turn, or on your opponent's turn, if you use this card on your turn, you have to be careful of what zone you put it in, because it will negate all of your spells and traps in its same column. I have actually lost more games than I like to admit because I wasn't paying attention to the column I activated Imperm. And just lost because my own spells were being negated by my own Imperm. And that's it for the main deck. Moving on to the extra deck. I play 2 copies of Blackwing Boreas Storm, the Wicked Wind. Let's see, I think that's about centered. Boreas Storm has the effect that this card is Synchro Summoned. You can send a Blackwing monster from your deck to the graveyard. And if you do, this card's level becomes the same as that sent monster's level. Which usually if I'm summoning this, I'm sending Shamal to the graveyard to make it a level 4. Let's see, forget the rest of this card's effects. Send a Blackwing monster because of that level. When this card destroys a monster by battle, sends it to the graveyard, you can banish a Blackwing monster from your graveyard or face-up field. Except, you see, banish or face-up field except the destroyed monster. Special summon the destroyed monster to your field in defense position. Okay, and you can only use each effective Boreas Storm, the Wicked Wind, once per turn. Like I said, though, this is usually just make itself level 4, and then I usually use it in that 2.5 combo to be able to summon the 3 Blackwinged Assault Dragons. Next, I play 2 copies of Nothung the Starlight. This card has the effect that when it's Synchro Summoned, you can inflict 600 points of damage to your opponent, and then 1 monster your opponent controls loses 600 attack. But the main thing of this card is that it gives you an additional normal summon of a Blackwing monster. And then 3 of the 4 cards I always play in a Blackwing deck, regardless of how bad it is to try to make them. I play 3 copies of Assault Blackwing Raikiri, the Ring Shower. Raikiri is my favorite Blackwing just because it has the effect of once per turn, you can target cards your opponent controls up to the number of other Blackwing monsters you control and destroy them. I just like that because if you have only these 3, then you can destroy up to 6 cards your opponent controls. And then it has the usual Assault Blackwing effect, where if it was made using Blackwing monsters, then it becomes a tuner. But that part doesn't usually matter. Now I play one copy of Assault Blackwing Chidori the Rain Sprinkling. Chidori has the same. Oh, you made using Blackwings. It's a tuner now, but it gains 300. Is it 300 or 400 attack? Okay, it gains 300 attack for each Blackwing monster in your graveyard, and then if Chidori is destroyed by battle or by an opponent's card effect, then you can special summon a Blackwing Synchro monster from your graveyard. Next, I play 2 copies of Blackwinged Dragon. Blackwinged Dragon has the effect that if you would take damage by a card effect, you can reduce it to 0 and then have Blackwinged Dragon gain a Black Feather counter. For each counter it has, it's a 700 attack, but once per turn you can activate its effect, removing the Black Feather counters to then inflict... what was it? You can remove, once per turn, you can remove all Black Feather counters from this card, and target a face-up monster your opponent controls. That target loses 700 attack for each Blackwing counter removed, and then you inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack points that were lost. So usually, if I've honestly never used that effect, because Blackwing Dragon's usually just making it so you don't actually take the damage that you would have taken ordinarily, and then just being used to make Blackwing Assault Dragon. Next, I play 1 copy of Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. Abyss's only purpose in this deck is being able to... you make Abyss in this deck using Blackwinged Dragon and Orochi the Squall. You make... This card's only purpose is the once per turn target a face-up card your opponent controls negates effects at the end of the turn. That's its only purpose in this deck. Next, I play 1 copy of Blackwing Full Armor Master. Full Armor Master has the effect that is unaffected by card effects, or by other card effects, I should say. And then each time an opponent's monster activates its effect, you place a wedge counter on that monster. Max 1. When that effect resolves, and then once per turn, you can target a monster your opponent controls that has a wedge counter, take control of that monster, or you take control of it. And then once per turn, during the end phase, you can destroy all monsters on the field that have a wedge counter. I just remember for the longest time, Full Armor Master was the big boss monster of the Blackwing deck. And then the Darkwing Blast released and kind of changed that a little bit, but Full Armor Master is pretty much still the boss monster of the deck. Next, I play 3 copies of Blackwinged Assault Dragon. Blackwinged Assault Dragon has the effect where it has to either be synchro summoned or special summoned by shuffling back by banishing a Blackwinged Dragon and a Blackwing Tuner Synchro monster from your graveyard. So Boreas Storm and Blackwinged Dragon. Which, and fun fact, is actually 2 of the monsters that are used to summon one. Oh no, that's not it. That's just never mind. Ignore what I just said. Those are just, you banish those 2 from the graveyard to summon this. But it has the effect that each time an opponent's activated monster effect resolves, it gains a Black Feather counter and then inflicts 700 points of damage to your opponent. And then if it has, as a quick effect you can activate while it has a certain number of those, which is during your opponent's turn as a quick effect, you can tribute this card with 4 or more Black Feather counters on it to destroy all cards on the field. But the main thing I like about this is just getting all 3 out means your opponent activates a monster effect. When that effect resolves, your opponent will take 2,100 points of damage. But that is it for my Blackwing deck profile. If you have any ideas what I can do to improve the deck, any ideas for decks like to see made in the future, one of my friends is currently working. I'm helping one of my friends make a Yusei Synchron deck, so I would happily make a Blackwing versus Yusei video if it is requested. And I always read the comments, so I'm just going to say that now. And if people leave ideas, I will try them. If I like them, great. If I don't, I still tried it. But if you have any ideas to improve the deck, decks like to see face each other, or decks like to see be made in the future. Feel free to comment down below. Like I said before, I always read the comments, and thank you for watching.